This is our only visit to Scotland this season for rounds 15 and 16 at the Knockhill circuit. The first qualifying round is just getting underway as we speak, so let's see how it goes. With only hundredths of a second separating the first few drivers, we should have a cracker of a race on our hands.
And as I've said before, Frank Bieler is basically becoming the Lewis Hamilton of qualifying this season, because he always seems to manage to put his car on the pole. Even if it looks like cars superior to him are going to beat him. So it's fair to say Frank Bieler is clearly the qualifying king of the Showdown. Anyways, let's go to the race. So here we are then at Knockhill for what will be our only visit to Scotland on the BTCC circuit, as of which I believe this is the only circuit located in Scotland as far as I know, and at the moment, oh, I already hit the back of my teammate, and he goes for a spin. I think he got a correction there from John Cleland as I cut the kink there. Probably because if I did take the kink I would end up in trouble of some sort. But anyways, here we are now at the Knockhill circuit, making a little bit of contact there with the Audi, who must have checked up in front of me or brake checked me. But either way, already overtaking one of the Peugeots now, probably Tim Harvey, as I'm now up into 5th position at the end of lap 1. Menu has now taken the lead away from Bieler. It's also a shame to say Bieler has not won any races yet, even though he has proven, of course, he is clearly the flying ace when it comes to qualifying. So, can't really say much about the Knockhill circuit, except for saying it's the only racing circuit I can think of that is located in Scotland, and I had a spin. Well, I don't think it's really going to matter too much. Tim Harvey is running inside the top 8, which is unusual for Peugeot, but either way, this looks to be one of Tim Harvey's best tracks, as I now managed to go 3 abreast and slot myself back up into 2nd position ahead of both Bieler and the Nissan of, I think, David Leslie. I have a 9-second gap to eclipse to the Renault of Alan Menu, who is up ahead of me. It's not going to take long for me to get up into the lead. There's a few bumps on this circuit, but either way, I am starting to officially close in on Menu, and I would imagine in just a matter of laps now, I am probably going to take the lead away from him, most likely. I made a little bit of contact with my teammate on the start here. Of course, Knockhill is quite a tight circuit, as I have learned, and there are certain corners sometimes you just have to cut in order to make it through them, and try to dodge the bullets as much as you can. I'm now up into the lead, ahead of Menu, coming at the end of lap 4, and now it looks as though from here it's mostly going to be single file racing up front. I'm also quite sure this is going to be more or less one car domination, the way I see it. So I am now up into the lead. It's taken me 4 laps to officially take the lead here at Knockhill. Probably could have done some facts on the circuit to know about the track's history and other things like that, but sadly I've not been able to do those sorts of things. Because, well, to be completely honest, I probably don't care. It's also because, well, I usually don't have time to watch the BTCC races anyway. Or even if I do, then basically I watch them every so often, unless I decide for one reason or another I'm actually going to watch it. But anyway, 6 laps will be complete this time around, as I will now begin lap 7 once I am across the start-finish line, and already closing in on some lapped traffic, and it looks as though the first back marker I will overlap is that of Patrick Watts in the second Peugeot. Probably wouldn't have been able to take the corner even if I wanted to, because if I did, then I would have spun the car around, and obviously that's one thing I don't want to do here. And the player getting the advantage here at Knockhill is very much coming to fruition, as I unsuccessfully attempt to overlap the Ford Mondeo going through the sharp hairpin turn, which ends off the lap. Almost every driver in the championship now has officially scored points, especially since Derek Warwick scored points last time out at Croft, finishing 9th after James Thompson was taken out by his teammate Gabriele Tarquini, who somehow in the end had also managed to score a podium in spite of that, even though many people technically know Gabriele Tarquini for being the DTM champion of 1993, where he drove the all-conquering Alfa Romeo 155 Ti, and John Cleland getting very aggressive there as we went through the chicane. I almost thought for sure he was going to crash me, but thankfully he did not. And I'm also hopeful in saying that this time around we can actually get all cars to finish this race, because, well, I've noticed in the last 4 races we've had at least 1 DNF, and if I'm being completely honest, it's a trajectory that I, of all people, do not want to see continue. As I move Bintcliffe out of the way, because I know he will just be an interference otherwise. Really hoping I do not get any dangerous driving warnings this time around, unlike last time where I think I was given 2 dangerous driving warnings whilst I was overlapping the field over and over again. I'm pretty sure I'm going to win this race by at least a lap over the rest of the field. I'm also pretty sure I don't need to cause any interferences to menus, second place, run at this time. Because I am quite sure at this stage he has locked himself in to second position by now. It's mostly going to be a strung out field here, but either way it's still going to be a maze for me to navigate my way through the traffic and hope to not be involved in too many accidents whilst I am continuing my assertive domination. So 11 laps are now complete here at Knockhill. Next time around I should pretty much be a third of the way there in terms of race distance, because we are doing 35 laps in each race, for which there are 2 of them here at Knockhill. And able to navigate my way through the sharp left-hander and starting yet another lap here at Knockhill, and where it does look as though my domination is pretty much going to be certified. Here and on this circuit in particular, because I do know this is presumably going to be where I could very well clinch the championship before we reach the final round. Of course, I still need to survive Thruxton and Brands Hatch in the 4th quarter before getting up to Silverstone, but then once I've survived those 2 circuits with reasonable results, I would imagine that's probably going to be where... And yep, everything is getting interesting. But anyways, through up the inside of Tarquini, making contact there with Bieler, who has now lost a position as a result of being punted out of the way by Tim Harvey in the leading Peugeot. I'm quite sure Patrick Watts is very much the back marker of this race, and I would imagine it's only a matter of time before I put him a second lap down to me as the leader. Croft definitely gave us some wacky antics, and it's also where my streak of podium finishes ended. But the one thing that was even better for me is, even though Menu looked to be dominating the race, backmarkers in the end of the second race ultimately handed his race win over to Jason Plato, who I would like to say has now moved to within 1 point of Menu, but I personally doubt he is going to be the guy that will finish second in this championship, because I am quite sure at this stage Menu has more than certified himself as being the guy that will probably finish the championship in second, as I'm now overlapping Jason Plato, and I think there's one more car ahead of us now, and that is the car of Alan Menu, and running a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner, but still able to at least get the car back on track, as we should be halfway next time around. In this race. I've personally got nothing to worry about at this stage. I'm also fairly certain this is probably going to be where I consider showcasing the pit stop in the later stages of the race, if I can remember to do that, because, well, I at least want to give the Scots some recognition for me entering and exiting the pit lane. Figured I might as well do it under my own terms, as I'm now overlapping the two Vauxhalls. I think it's Derek Warwick who is ahead of John Cleland. Cleland has had a plethora of finishes inside the top 10, but Derek has also managed to get some points on the board, especially considering he was able to do it last time out at Croft. Partly because, well, James Thompson dropped out of the running order midway through the second race at Croft, which ultimately certified Derek a 9th placed finish, even though he probably would have finished in 10th at the end of the day, because that is just how wacky the racing was at Croft. And it is fair to say John has certainly proven that the car I previously used to win the championship in this game definitely has some speed, as I now set a new best lap time, and coming up to overlap menu now. It's taken me 19 laps to get all the way to the back of him. And no real point in me taking the corner, because if I do, then I'll just spin round. I can definitely say that's an awkward corner, but either way, it's still a corner I have to take, as I am closing in on menu. He brakes early going into the hairpin, and I have now lapped the whole field here at Knockhill. And it looks as though this is probably going to be where I more or less do the same thing in the second race. Of course, I did mention before that I switched off the race music, or audio, or whatever you want to call it. I switched off the CD music in this game just because I figured it might be a distraction. Even though the music in this game is not copyrighted, either way, I figured it would be wise for me to turn it off so my concentration levels would not be lackluster. And it is fair to say I've certainly had more than my fair share of domination in this championship to certainly certify myself as being a creature of annihilation. With this tri-coloured Volvo. I've certainly made the most of my early season domination when I did. And it now looks as though I'm going to put Bintcliffe a second lap down. Unless that was Beeler who I just put a second lap down. And I run Tim Harvey over to the gravel after we made just a little bit of contact. Of course, the only thing I'm really here to do at the moment is make sure I at least get the points I deserve, as I'm now overlapping Kelvin for a second time as we head down the straight up to the hairpin and completing yet another circuit of Scotland's only racetrack. And I almost lose control there through that one part of the circuit. Amazing to say that I've not officially spun the car around now for at least 15 laps by now, because I've had a fairly clean race, to say the least. But anyways, I am now overlapping Will Hoy in the second Ford Mondeo, as I now begin lap 25, and then after this there should be just 10 laps to go in this race. Of course, since I noticed the second Knockhill race in my videos panel has basically hundreds of views, I decided that would be the only video in my failed attempt with the Audi I would ultimately keep. Even though I was dominating the championship up to that point, I simply decided the Audi was too heavy for withstanding the G-force bumps of Brands Hatch, and I decided to start over. And with the Volvo, I can certainly say I've had a much more comfortable time of skating through the Showdown Championship compared to what I had before. So, overlapping Paul Radicic now. I think I'm putting him now a third lap down, as I also put one of the Vauxhalls a third lap down if my calculations are correct. And closing in on John Cleland. He is going to move over this time around, letting me through. He is now 3 laps down, along with a number of other cars. And Cleland is now closing in again, and he spins both of us out. Well, I kind of knew I was going to get another spin eventually. Yo, what the fuck? Are you serious? Well, even if I'm dominating, the chaotic, evil nature of the AI just simply don't give a shit whether I'm dominating a race or not. Because they are basically Arkham Asylum levels of fucked up, essentially. But I'm pretty sure I will put these guys a third lap down eventually. Of course, I have overlapped the entire field at this point of the race. I wouldn't think I'm going to put Menu a second lap down, but I'm definitely going to win this race by at least a lap, I can guarantee it. as long as nothing happens to the car whilst I'm here. But anyway, closing in on the traffic ahead, I really thought for sure John was going to let me pass him, but as I have now rediscovered, the AI literally just don't give a shit whether you are dominating the race or if you are fighting for the race. A little bit of contact there with one of the Fords. He gives me a nudge and the Ford pays the price for it because he was going too fast for that part of the course. Of course, I have known John Cleland in the past to be quite an aggressive driver, but even then, he is a double BTCC champion, and he is very much a Vauxhall loyalist, winning the championship on 2 occasions with the Vauxhall team in both 1989 and 95. He is very much a double BTCC champion. He was also once a well-established touring car racing commentator as well, at one point. Although many people often know John Cleland for saying that guy who designed this first corner should be taken in a dark room and beat about the head. I couldn't tell you what the name of the course was, but everyone knows the meme. At least every racing gamer knows the meme. And it basically sounds like this. You know, that guy who designed this first corner should be taken in a dark room and beat about the head. Something, of course, he did say on live TV. I know what the year was, but I can never seem to remember the name of the circuit where he made that comment. But still, I mean, the first corner on the track at the time was very poorly designed. And part of the reason for that is because of the chaos which ensued in that first corner. Even though many people know that for essentially being a meme. And it's pretty much what many people know John Cleland for saying. Well, that aside from the comments he made when he was taken out of the BTCC finale at Silverstone in 1992, when he was taken out of the race by Andy Soper. I should also mention, of course, that Cleland at the time was battling for the championship with Tim Harvey, and essentially he dropped out of the race as a result of contact. I think it was in Woodcote where this happened, but the contact had essentially... yeah, Cleland probably knew that was never going to work. I had to barge him up into the gravel there because, well, he wasn't going to lift. But, anyways, 3 laps to go here at Knockhill. I am very much on cruise control at this point, because I have dominated this race pretty much from the start, or at least from when I took the lead on lap 4. If I was not certified as being a potential race winner at the start of the race, then it's definitely fair to say I am more than certified of being the race winner now in these final 2 laps, regardless of what happens. from here. Because I can basically get spun round multiple times, and yet I would still be the leader, because that is just how dominant of a run I've had here at Knockhill. Oh, can I actually put one of the runners a second lap down? It would be interesting if I could. Oh yeah, the pit stop. Okay. Well, I'm gonna showcase what a pit stop looks like as I begin the final lap here. Figured that was something I might as well do whilst I was here. Probably on a fresh set of tyres now, as I overlap the Honda once again. Not going to beat my best overall lap time, and personally I don't need to. But I can definitely say I'm on much fresher tyres now. I figured I might as well showcase the pit stop here. That's basically what a pit stop is in this game. Doesn't look as though I'm going to catch up to the Renault and put him a second lap down. I will be close, but I won't quite be close enough. But anyways, it doesn't matter, because I win Knockhill.
New Volvo driver has done it again, taking the checkered flag in style. So let's see the final result.
Yeah, I basically won by nearly 2 laps over the rest of the field. So Menu was second, Plato third, followed by Thompson, Beeler, Tarquini, Leslie and Bintcliffe, who completes the top 8. And in the second half of the field, we had Kelvin Burt in 9th and Tim Harvey scoring points for, I think, the first time since Brands Hatch. So he does manage to get some crucial points for Peugeot on the board. Patrick Watts, of course, the driver who I would say I've probably put at least 3 laps down. And now we shall move on to race 2 and see if we can continue our domination. So, 1 race down here at Knockhill, and now we can move on to the second race.